My name is Enromo TV and I specialize in pension law. Pension law is about the rules and regulations that govern retirement funds. For example, Section 37 capital A of the Pension Funds Act protects fund benefits against any transfer, cession, pledge, hypothecation, attachment, or execution in terms of an order of court, with the exception of the provisions of the Pension Funds Act, the Maintenance Act, and the Income Tax Act. So, where decree of divorce is granted and the order provides that one party is entitled to the other party's pension interest or a portion thereof, the retirement fund required to pay such portion of the member's pension interest will have to consider whether the order is enforceable against the fund or not. A divorce order will have to meet the following requirements. The first requirement: the fund must be named, or it must at least be identifiable. The second requirement: the amount or the value of the member's pension interest awarded to the non-member spouse must be determinable. The third requirement is that the clause in the order or in the settlement agreement must specifically refer to pension interest, because a retirement fund cannot pay anything to a non-member spouse outside of pension interest, which is specifically defined in Section 1 of the Divorce Act. The order will thus have to comply with Section 37D(1)(d) of the Pension Funds Act, read with Section 78A of the Divorce Act. In maintenance proceedings, where the order sought is for the attachment of a benefit due to a member of a retirement fund, the order granted will have to comply with Section 30 of the Maintenance Act. If an employer claims compensation for damage or loss suffered as a result of theft, fraud, dishonesty, or misconduct by the employee, who is also a member of the fund may make a deduction from a member's benefit in terms of Section 37D(1)(b)(2) of the Pension Funds Act to compensate the employer if the employer has obtained a written admission of liability by the member, or if judgment has been granted in any court. In this case, please note that the judgment must be a judgment sounding in money, and the fund may only accept a civil judgment or an order granted in terms of Section 300 of the Criminal Procedure Act. That is, if the employer pursued criminal proceedings against the member. Now, in all three cases which I've mentioned, the making of a deduction from a member's benefit will be an exception to the general rule, which is the protection afforded to fund benefits under Section 37 capital A of the Pension Funds Act. Whenever dealing with any matter pertaining to a pension fund, please remember that Section 37 capital A should always be your starting point. In dealing with the distribution of death benefits by a retirement fund, where the member has died while an active member of the fund, the Board of Trustees of the fund will be required, in terms of Section 37 capital C of the Pension Funds Act, to distribute the death benefit in the following manner. The first step will be to trace the dependents and nominees of the deceased member. The second step will be to allocate the death benefit, and the third step will be to determine the appropriate manner of payment. Section 37C also prescribes that the said process of identifying the dependents and nominees, allocating the death benefit, and determining the appropriate mode of payment must be completed by the Board of Trustees within 12 months from the date of death of the member. Thank you for watching, and good luck with your pension fund matters.